Hi, my name's Mark Hart and welcome to our video about loading trial balances automatically to ONESOURCE Statutory Reporting using Alteryx. First of all, let's take a look at the trial balances we hope to load. You can see there's 7 in this folder called TBs, which is where Alteryx is going to look to, and we've got one particular one here called Osprey Consulting OC Trial Balance Data. If we take a look at Osprey Consulting, you can see for the current period we have no journal. So let's go to the Alteryx workflow that we've pre-built to load that journal and to refresh the other 6. We've got some instructions up here, but the first thing we recommend is right-click on this browse tool and run until selected. And what that's going to do is run the majority of the workflow up until this point, but not do any of the API loading or deleting. You can see down the bottom here, it said 6 journals that are already in ONESOURCE Statutory Reporting, and they are poised based on our criteria to be deleted. We're happy with that, so let's run the whole workflow, and while it's running, we can talk about the workflow itself. So over here we have where we're loading the trial balances, and that can be changed in order to fit your own criteria if it doesn't meet the assumptions that we've got down here. We've also then got the container here, which loads our entity information, our financial period information, all coming directly from ONESOURCE Statutory Reporting, and combines that with the TBs, because we know we only want to load information for the TBs in the folder, so therefore we can compare that to ONESOURCE Statutory Reporting and get the relevant entities and financial period. Then we delete our journals based on that same list we saw a moment ago, so matching the two together. And finally, we post those new journals, and you'll notice all these counts are doing checks on the APIs to check they all run successfully, and other checks to ensure that what is occurring is what we expect. And we'll look back at those checks in a moment. So you can see that's taken 52.9 seconds, and we've got some warnings down here, which are really just a way of flagging things that we might be interested in. Errors are really what we're worried about. And you can see we got 6 journals deleted successfully, 7 journals were created successfully, and we've got a confirmation that all trial balances were submitted successfully. If we go back to statutory reporting and do a quick refresh, we'll see we've got our trial balance loaded with the criteria that we asked for. So a code of AYX, Alteryx submission, a name of trial balance import, and a classification of original trial balance, and they can all be changed as part of the setup in Alteryx. Now what I'd like to do is talk a little bit more about those errors. So let's grab 2 trial balances that will create an error, and we'll drop those in the main folder. Let's go back to the beginning again. We're happy that we're going to delete the 7 journals that are now loaded, so let's just click run again. And you can see we've got 1 error already. Let's filter on the errors as it runs. So we can see there are trial balances with no matching entity and financial period in OSR. So we've got a check here that is looking at the names in the trial balances, and it's identified there's no matching name within ONESOURCE Statutory Reporting. If you know that there are code mismatches, we do have an input tool here that allows you to put a side-by-side trial balance code and OSR entity code, but that's not the case here. We've intentionally created a trial balance that doesn't have a matching entity in statutory reporting. You can see it's still working through the workflow. So we've got our warning that's come up to say 7 journals have been deleted. We can see that 7 were created successfully, 2 TBs were not submitted. Well, we know why one of them's not submitted. Let's take a look at the other one, and we can see we've got a message here saying 1 journals were not uploaded as accounts did not exist in that entity. And if we take a look over here, we can see in the filter tool just there, that's where the errors occurred. We can see that there was a bad API request for the entity AML, and the reason why it's filtered is we got a message back saying account does not exist. So lots of checks, lots more could be created. Just to finally talk about the setup here. So we have set it so that a customer can easily amend their username and password. They can change the year here each year. If we take a look at the year, they can change the year each year so that they quickly move on from year to year. We do recommend that you lock previous years. That's a good practice anyway. You can also enter the column numbers for your trial balances coming in to get the right trial balance information to go through the tool, and can edit the different journal classification, journal name, and journal code. So I hope you liked the video. A really great way of being able to automate the load of trial balance information to ONESOURCE Statutory Reporting, particularly important if you want to minimize risk or you have lots of entities or complex situations. Thank you very much for listening.